you never see the benefit of what you're doing in that moment. That really hard moment in time is setting you and your little one up for better results later on down the track. When you're doing the resettle and then you're thinking, gosh, this is not working. It doesn't feel like I'm getting anywhere. Trust the process, trust in the idea that you're building this repetitive response and you're following that through with you can fall back to sleep in another way other than feeding.
Welcome back, Nap Trappers. I'm so excited to be back in the studio with Beck. Hi, Beck.
Yay! We are back and ready to get into it, counting down the last episodes to Christmas and the New Year.
No, 12 days of Nap Trapped. Maybe that's something we could do next year. We'll start our content planning for next year, the 12 days of Nap Trapped.
Yeah, and I think if we both have our holidays beforehand, so we're really refreshed leading into the 12 days of Nap Trap, we'll be super exuberant and ready to rock.
We're flying by the seat of our pants with no episodes in the bag. We've used them all up to the point where on Thursday when you listen to Sleep Detectives, you'll hear me welcome Beck back again because we recorded that one first. Well, we missed you and it's so great to have you back. I'll welcome you back a million times over. But first, we have some housekeeping for the Nap Trapped agenda today. What business do we have being in people's 2025 Spotify Wrapped?
I know.
Holy mackerel.
Absolutely mind-blowing. I kept showing my husband and I was like, I think this is a big deal. I think this is a big deal.
There was part of me that was almost couldn't feel anything because I couldn't fathom that somebody, let alone people on the other side of the world, have listened to us at all, let alone to be in your 2025 Wrapped. Thank you does not even do this justice. It's phenomenal, the support we have had.
I know. And to think that we just sort of wanted to get a bit of content out there because we're just so passionate about baby sleep and we have so much to say about it. And to think that it's sort of gone so gangbusters through the year and we just love doing it and we just love chatting to each other and this is a real highlight for our week, you know, just to sort of get together and think about what it is that we're going to teach you all out there and the tips and tricks that, you know, might help save a little bit of sanity and whatnot, and to be able to see at the end of the year that it's made a difference to so many people and to be up there on the lists is just, like I said, it really is mind-blowing and gives us all the feels. So
I
wonderful.
literally sat in my car. I love to sit in the driveway. I don't know if anyone else does that. But I sat extra, just stunned, absolutely stunned and thrilled and so excited that we get to do this next year. We don't have to stop.
Yeah. And I am I love doing what I do, but I really don't toot my own horn at all. Like I really, outside of what we do here, I don't really talk about what it is that, I just sort of, I just have an average job, blah, 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 blah. But my husband is my biggest supporter. And everywhere we went over the weekend,
we love Ben.
He was like, oh, did you know Bex? And I was like, oh my God, I don't, but everywhere he was like, it's a big deal. It's a big thing. To be top 5% of watched videos on Spotify is huge. So yeah,
it's
thank
huge.
you to everyone.
Congratulations, Beck. That is huge. And I will always toot your own horn. I'm with Ben. We'll be your ultimate hype girl. Thank you. Well, for listeners who don't know how this podcast started, Beck, we always chatted and spoke about sleep, and you'd help me when things were tricky. And I had sat on the idea of a podcast for a long time, but I didn't know how to do it on my own, just yapping about the things I already make so much content about. And then you rang me one day and said, what do you think about a podcast? And I was like, Beck, I already have the name. It's going to be Napchat. Let's do it.
Yes, I know. And I was like, Napchat, it's so perfect. You can't think of a better name. I was like, oh my gosh. And so And then, boom, we were off and running.
Boom. Yep, I was in
Mr.
Bali.
Sleep
You
Concierge sent me a little list of what it is that I needed to get. I had a tequila shot before my first.
Yeah, we had a script and everything. Yeah. Now we do not. But no, it's been phenomenal and in less than a year. But not only were we top 5% of Spotify videos, for me, the thing that truly blew my mind was when one listener sent their screen grab of their Spotify Wrapped list. Number 1 was Khloe Kardashian. Number 2, Call Her Daddy. Number 3, us. Snapchat.
Yes.
And then number 4 was The Imperfects. And I can't believe we made it into that elite lineup.
We're almost on the same level as Khloe Kardashian.
I know. Yes. She just needs to have another baby and then our worlds will collide.
Yes.
No, truly phenomenal. It has absolutely made our week, probably made our year. We better be in your Wrapped next year too. We'll be checking.
Yeah.
You've set the precedence now. But I am actually sending out the caps today. I've just done a big batch to the letterbox because so many wonderful listeners posted about their Wrapped and to say thank you. We are sending a cap your way. And we have not only Australia, but we have Canada, America, England, New Zealand, everywhere is on the list, and your caps are coming in time for Christmas.
They're going global, so it's just
going global.
Going global. Santa's going to be busy delivering those babies.
Now, second order of business, this is where I'm going to toot my own horn. Today, listeners, my new baby sleep platform, which, Beck, you are a moderator and a lifesaver of, Snooze, has actually gone live, which is something I've been working on. Thank you for a very, very long time. I just started to sweat talking about myself in that way. It's a combination of all the things that I've already had going on. So the guides, the courses, but it's now an all access membership. So you just sign up and you get every guide, every course, plus all of the new troubleshooting modules. You'll still have the forum. Beck and I will still be in there answering questions. You can still do consults. We're going to be doing virtual group coaching as well.
This is exciting. Yeah.
This is exciting.
I actually feel like this could be a world first. These group coaching calls with, 2 sleep experts.
Absolutely.
I think that it's going to be phenomenal for people who are in there, getting the access to both of us and always having us available to them to coach them through, and having the ability to liaise with other families, other parents, who are in the same boat and just feel like it is a community, and we can everyone gets an opportunity to chat and explore and all the things, because it is a one-stop shop. Snooze is a phenomenal place for parents and caregivers and all the people who look after babies. Loads of resources, so much support, expert advice.
Beck. Thank
you.
It's been
just
really
incredible.
It's been a lot of hard work, and there's nothing like launching something on the last day of term before you've got to do it home for 6 weeks. But that's how we roll, Mr. Sleep Concierge and I. We are all in at the last minute. So that's really exciting. But now, shall we get into what we're actually here to talk about, which is baby sleep. And today we're doing a mini case study, mini consult, whatever you want to call it, because we got a message through our Nap Trapped Instagram from Sophia, who is actually a nanny of a baby, which is kind of cool. I love that. As you mentioned before, other caregivers are listening to this, and there's lots of things that we can talk about with this baby's sleep. So I'm going to read it out. Okay. It says, "Hey girls, I just found out your podcast. Your tips are really helpful. Just wanted to make a question out of wonder. I'm a nanny and I take care of a 9-month-old baby. wake at 7:30, nap 1 is 10:30 till 11:30, nap 2 is 3 till 4, and an 8:30 bedtime. The question is that I always have to wake him from the first nap. He almost never wakes by himself, but parents keep telling me to wake him because the next nap will be too late. He never wants to sleep extra on the nap 2, only the first one. Is it normal to wake them to a set routine and schedule? Overnight sleep is usually good. 2 night awakenings for breastfeeding, 3 meals of solids, and 3 of milk throughout the day. Lots to unpack.
Yeah. I think firstly for me, nannies all over the world do an incredible job, and they are, they're such like incredible people for families to have as their wingman. I always feel like a nanny is totally a family's wingman, and to be able to sort of settle into a really great pattern and rhythm and routine with this little one, I think is fantastic. I think my first thought though is that, and I don't want this to come off as sounding super harsh, is that I think ultimately if the parents are happy with it, then it's fine, because we are always in the camp of if it's not broken, then don't try and fix it. And so if parents are happy with the way things are, then I think it's just something that maybe the nanny may just have to sort of kind of let slide. But if they were looking for improvement or wanting to sort of, tweak things a little, and they were happy with a bit of, scheduling change, then maybe the scheduling could work a little better in terms of, the timings of naps and bedtime, just to optimize sleep potential, I guess, and get a longer second sleep and maybe a better night's sleep rather than the 2 feeds. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think I agree with you that because I used to nanny as well. I know you did extensively as well. And it's, yes, essentially whatever works for the family is going to be the status quo. I do love, however, how invested this nanny is in the well-being of this family's sleep. From a place of curiosity, not necessarily like, oh, should they or shouldn't they do that? As in, is this normal? Is this a recommendation? Maybe it's even for future learnings of what do I take to my next family or into their own career. My second thought was that I personally, this is a good example of how I would structure things differently, but there's also nothing majorly wrong. We haven't got 10 overnight wakings. We haven't got a baby wanting to start the day at 4:30 a.m. We haven't got 2 20-minute naps, all the things that you and I see every single week. So part of me would think this is a great example of how you can distribute sleep differently and it still work.
Yeah.
My next thought, I clearly had many thoughts. My next thought is at 9-month-old, I don't think the average baby that is clearly eating and drinking well needs to be having 2 breastfeeds overnight. Can they? Absolutely. And again, if that's what the family vibe is, no notes. As a sleep with my nap trap sleep consultant hat on, I would say this baby doesn't need to. And so part of my plan, if I was working with them, would be to potentially have an overnight weaning plan. And I also wonder if maybe one, if not both of those wakings are originally because of a scheduling thing and then a feed gets added in, and is that just now habitual? So those were my thoughts.
And I think you might be on the right track there, because ideally for a 9-month-old, we're looking for around 3 hours worth of sleep over 2 naps. And with the first nap being capped at an hour and then the second sleep only being an hour as well, we've kind of got 2 hours through the daytime. Plus there is a 4.5-hour wake window that's happening from the last nap to bedtime, so the end of the last nap to bedtime. So there's a few factors at play here which could potentially be contributing to the couple of wakings overnight. So rather than them being genuine hunger-related wakings, they are actually overtired wakings, and it's just easy and fast to feed baby back off to sleep and get them back down, and of course no issue there. But if we were looking at changing anything, that's potentially one of the underlying factors for those wakes would potentially be the scheduling that's going on there. So I would personally if that first nap has been capped at 1 hour and it's not organically lengthening the second sleep out, I would maybe potentially look at, and they're on a 2-nap schedule, 9 months. I was going to say maybe make the first nap 45 minutes and just see, and then bring nap 2 slightly earlier to see if we can lengthen it out.
Mm.
But there's potential there for a bit of a reset because there are 2 feeds overnight, that maybe there's merit in doing a 3 naps. This is where, just to try and get things back on track.
Get the calories back on track during the day so that then we redistribute it. We can start working on resettling those overnight feeds, plus get to bedtime with a little bridging nap in the afternoon. And keep in mind, at 9 months, we have to be so strategic about these timings.
Yeah.
It's not just anything goes. We have to cap nap 1 tightly to get that third nap back in. But yes, I think I would, and I did this just a couple of weeks ago with a family at this age, brought back 3 naps whilst we resolved overnight issues and then looked to retransition. It was for a couple of days. It was not even weeks that we did it.
I think having a more extensive, or examining the logs a little bit more. So if we were to do what we would typically do with a new client, is we'd have 48 hours worth of logs to sort of go over and just sort of make an assessment. And that would give us more detail in terms of whether or not we could sort of play around with the 2-nap schedule, or if this was genuinely like we have to go back and do the 3 naps. But essentially, it would be creating a plan through the day so that the feeds and the solids and the naps gave us the confidence to be able to resettle at least the first waking of the night without a feed, and coming up with a tactic there. So examining how the bedtime routine looks, if little one is being rocked, held, fed to sleep, or if they're an independent settler. So all of those factors would need to sort of be looked at. And determining whether or not it's more of a scheduling or more of a self-settling issue that we're needing to
Part of me
manage.
Thinks, and very much reading between the lines here, I'm just making this up based on the message, but part of me thinks there is definitely some self-settling skills, because if we've only got 2 overnight wakings, then absolutely this baby is linking sleep cycles the rest of the time. But also, if they are wanting to consolidate that first nap, but are being woken, then they are showing that they've got the skills
true
to self-settle and link that sleep cycle. And if you can do it for a nap, you can absolutely be doing it for bedtime and overnight. At least in theory, the skill set is there. I think we should put some numbers out there just for listeners who are thinking, do I need to go back onto 3 naps as well at this age? Because it's such a tall order to ask a 9-month-old baby to go back onto, for a lot of them to go back onto 3 naps. So we would be holding steady with our 7 a.m. up, anticipating awake somewhere between 6 and 7, and then 7 a.m. up. The first nap would then be 9:30 till 10, tightly capped, 30 minutes. 12:30 till 2, and then a 5 till 5:15?
I'd probably do 5:15 to 5:30.
Till 5:30 snap.
Yeah.
And then 7:30 into bed. Yeah. And so what that third nap is going to do is bridge you to bedtime well rested. But the other thing about this schedule is that you come back to the 4 milk feeds versus the 3 that we dropped to when we moved to a 2-nap schedule. And what that does is it means that you go into the night super confident. Let's say that first waking is at 10. I'm just making that up. Then you absolutely know without a doubt that is not a genuine hunger-related waking, and you're going to resettle until baby goes back to sleep. And what that does is organically push out those overnight feeds. Even if there's still 2, it's going to push them out later and later and later. That second one will get smaller and smaller and smaller. You've dropped it, you're down to 1, and then you either keep it if you want to, or you look to ditch it as well.
The other thing too, like at this age, is say you've got a habitual rise and say habitual wake and it is 10 o'clock at night and you are resettling, and this one is waking for a breastfeed overnight. If you've resettled, and then baby wakes at 1, 2 o'clock, there's going to be so much more milk in the boobs, and there's
Such
every chance at this age that there is potential for you to just drop down to one feed.
Yeah.
And feel really confident about actually just resettling at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, like without anything. So that there's definitely merit in that as well. You could potentially have it, like if we were doing the 4-hour rule, if you resettle 10 p.m. and then baby woke at 12:30, you do the full investment feed that we chat about in other episodes. Full investment feed at 12:30, and then 4 hours from there. If there was a waking and it was becoming really tricky, then you could just do a teeny tiny boob feed just to get back off to sleep 1 or 2 minutes, enough just to get them back down, and then that'll try and help you get through that really tricky 5:30 time frame where most babies are wanting to wake and start their day. But if you did have like an epic feed at say 1:30 to 2:30, you wouldn't offer a second feed. You would wait until 7 a.m. to do that feed for the rest of the night.
And that's when you would then remember one of our golden rules of weaning overnight feeds, which is once your baby drops a feed, you don't bring it back. Meaning they drop that 10 o'clock feed, they woke at 1 or 2 a.m. The next night you say, okay, even if there's wakings before that 1 or 2 a.m., I'm going to resettle that because I know you can go through until 1 or 2 a.m. And you can be extra confident in that based on age.
Yeah, that's right.
In this scenario.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think to answer this lovely nanny's question of is it normal or recommended to wake a baby from that first nap when they are wanting to keep sleeping, that is it's a really good question because yes, yes and no. Most babies, at least in my experience, could happily take the longest, most delightful first nap of the day. And there are a couple of reasons at different ages why we might cap that first nap. And so my guess is that this family is capping it so they can keep the second nap, and maybe they like a slightly later bedtime and they're happy with how things are playing out. One of the first reasons why I might cap the first nap of the day is if we have some really stubborn early rising that I feel like a baby at this age is then catching up. I don't have to sleep longer than 4:30 a.m. because come 8:30, 9:30, whatever time the family's got the nap happening at, I get to catch up. And so their body clock is just a bit skew. If we cap it, we take it away, and in theory, we give it back to the early hours of the morning. Another reason why we might cap that first nap is if we're moving to a short, long nap scenario, because despite our absolute best efforts at lengthening out nap 2 with some nap training and sleep training, a long first nap impacts nap 2, which can definitely happen from 9, 10 months plus. But I wouldn't necessarily start there. I usually, and I know you're the same, Beck, we usually start with the OG, which is 2 90-minute naps, get the lay of the land, get the 3 milk feeds well established, get the solids in place, iron out any wobbles that crop up overnight after the nap, the 3 to 2 nap drop, and see what happens.
Yeah.
But yes, in theory, that's why we would cap that first nap.
I think the listener mentioned that the first nap is capped because if they let baby sleep for too long, bedtime would be really late. And I think that there's an element of, did I get that right? Hopefully I got that right.
I'm going back.
But essentially
because the next nap will be too late. Nap 2.
Yeah. But also in this example, though, bedtime is quite late because the wake windows being used are quite long. And so in between nap 1 and nap 2, they're using 3.5 hours. And from end of nap 2 to bedtime, they're using 4.5 hours. So they could potentially have the OG schedule with a 7:30 bedtime if they just brought everything slightly earlier. They just adjusted timings and baby woke up at maybe 7 o'clock rather than 7:30.
Yes.
So if they did the OG schedule and they let baby sleep longer, and then they brought the second nap slightly earlier, and potentially there was correct sleep pressure, it might encourage baby to sleep a little bit longer for nap 2 as well. So the OG schedule is up between 6 and 7, first nap 9:30 to 11, second nap 2 till 3:30, and then at 9 months we actually use 3.5 hours to bedtime. So 3.5 hours would get you to 7 o'clock, and then that creates a really well rested vibe where baby's going down, tired, well rested, ready for sleep, but there's no cortisol there that will then continue to wake baby and create these opportunities to need to be fed. So, I mean, the routines could always be adjusted if parents want to start the day slightly later. Of course,
well, that's what I was going to say. We might move to an 8 till 8, and then what that would do is on the OG schedule, but it would then encourage a waking between 7 and 8 versus 6 and 7 on the 7 till 7, because we're always aiming for 11 to 12 hours, but we continue to delay so that you and I are fighting the good fight against families starting their day in the 4s and 5s. We overcorrect, we overreach, and babies love to wake up slow and hang out in their cot, and that can absolutely be a habit that gets taught and supported. I think the other thing that would, I wonder if there is also that this baby clearly loves the first nap and maybe absolutely just falls fast asleep straight away, no problem. But when they take, let's say, the 90 minutes that we would have on our OG schedule, even if they've used the OG, in theory, it takes longer to fall asleep for nap 2, and that has maybe been interpreted as they're having too much sleep because they fall asleep within 3 minutes, but 18 minutes into nap 2, they're still rolling around getting comfy. For us, no drama.
Yeah, no drama.
No drama if nap 2 is taking a little bit longer to fall asleep. The other thing is that sometimes we do actually need to do some active nap training to lengthen out that second nap, rather than just interpreting the data of, oh, well, they won't lengthen out the second nap. It must be because of nap 1. There are steps in between to try and get a chunky second nap, and then we pivot if need be. You and I are always wanting to get the most amount of sleep for these babies and our families. And if we can get you 2 90-minute nap times, hallelujah.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is that by shortening that wake window from nap 2 to bed, even if it was short, but shortening it down to 3.5 hours. If we then take that into the overnight weaning plan that you and I have decided upon, let's say we go to resettle the 10 p.m., your chance of the extreme escalation whilst you're trying to resettle a sleep train out that early rise is already minimized to the best of our ability, because you don't have an overtired baby going into that waking. They still may not be thrilled, but it's overtired babies cry hard. And it can be a really lengthy process to try and bring them back down, regardless of your technique. So how can we minimize that before we even get there? They may not even wake. Maybe they'll wake at 11 versus 10. There are so many potential what ifs, but we are always trying to minimize escalation for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. So it's optimal scheduling, optimal sleep pressure, optimal confidence.
Yep. Also,
and then we minimize tears.
Making sure that the breastfeeds are full and full, complete, double-sided breastfeeds during the day, whether that's on the 3 milk feeds or the 4, depending on which schedule of ours you go with. So again, baby's not genuinely needing to catch up on milk overnight. It's always about striking that balance between great milk feeds and great solids at this age. Gosh, we really do have a lot of things to say from one message.
Yeah, I know. And I was about to sneeze then too. So I just muted myself and then went off to the side to. So if anyone's watching, like I know you love to watch, I almost sneezed then, came back to it.
I'll get Mr. Sleep Concierge to do a big graphic over your face of some projectile sneeze. You're welcome.
But yeah, there is. I mean, it just looks like an ordinary question. We do get these questions all the time that just look like, oh no, you could. But there is a lot that we talk about this to death. There is a lot that goes into creating a solution for a family, and it's not usually at face value. There are lots of different things, and you can hear through our chatting that there's so many layers to unpacking and deciding on what particular solution is required for any family. So it's really interesting. I hope listeners are getting a lot out of us, dissecting these questions and what it is that we might sort of do in order to get sleep back on track.
I was even just rereading it. No, I was just going to say, I just reread it and then I've reinterpreted something that says overnight sleep is usually good. And usually good, I'm going to now, my brain thinks, what does that look like? Because I read it initially as like, oh, everything's great. We just have these two of it. Usually good. There may actually be more things happening.
More wakings.
Yeah. That maybe we could troubleshoot via these scheduling and feeding suggestions.
Well, I think in that case it would, literally, it would need to be a 3 nap schedule because it seems that there's quite a few things to maybe iron out overnight.
Yeah.
And you'd go back to the 3 naps, you'd get everything redistributed, reorganized, confidence boosted. And then once all of that is sorted, then you go in back and we would probably start back off with the OG and then iron it out from there.
And keep in mind that when we make this sort of strategy and then back to the OG and whatnot, some of our sleep rules take a sideways step. We would need you to assist nap 3. I mean, that's not, we always say that anyway, but you may then need to assist and lengthen out nap 2 on the OGs. It's not just all about, can you self-settle? Great, now do it. It's, we're going to assist you in solving this tricky sleep. And we're chopping and changing their little body clocks for them. We got to help them out a bit.
Yeah, that's right. And we take the overwhelm out for families as well. So a lot of our work is making it easy bite-sized chunks so that you can feel really in charge of what you're doing and know exactly why you're doing it, because that's our big belief system, is you need to understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. And being able to see the progress as it comes along. So lots of hand holding. There's lots of bite-sized chunks that eventually the small wins add to something bigger. And then all of a sudden you're at your end goal, which is always a great feeling. Amazing.
Absolutely. Tell me, you personally, when do you stop bringing the 3rd nap back in tightly capped? I just did it at 9.5 months for that family that I was just talking about, just for a couple of days. When do you usually say, oh no, we're going to have to just stick with 2 here and troubleshoot it as is?
I mean, there's been times where I've brought a 3rd nap back in for a 10-month-old because the naps are just so diabolical and they've
with
just
the 4 milk feeds?
Yeah. To get things back on track. It's not, but that wouldn't be super typical, because I've found that a lot of families, if they're really struggling with sleep at 10 months, that 3rd nap has probably been gone for months.
Yes.
So probably 9.5 months is maybe where I'd keep sort of thinking about, well, let's get it back on track. But then if we're typically over the age of 10 months, I would probably just,
we're just
move with a 2 nap schedule. Yeah, persevere.
Roll with what we've got.
Yeah. And a big mantra for that too is for us, even though we're trying to solve a 2-hour day here, by trying to get extra sleep in, sometimes when we're working initially on sleep, we'll take what we're given. And we use,
most of the time, I'll take what I'm given.
Yeah.
As 15-minute nap, sure, whatever, we'll roll with it.
But then on the other side of that is like, we've got a really clear plan of, okay, we'll take what we're given here. So baby might give us a 15-minute nap for nap 2. Not ideal, but we've got to start somewhere. And then we're going to use correct sleep pressure from that moment onwards. And so that's where having a sleep consultant on hand to sort of finalize that nitty-gritty of like, okay, gosh, that wasn't ideal. What's the plan to bedtime here? And we're all on the same page. You've got a really clear, okay, we're going to do this, bang, bang, bang to bed. confidence behind baby's not going down overtired, even though they've just had a 15-minute power snooze in the afternoon, and then, having that confidence to follow suit overnight. So, yeah, I think that was a long-winded answer.
No, I was just going to say, do you find that often, let's say on the first couple of days of a 2-week package where we're trying to just get on the schedule, and in this case, let's say we're going back into 3 naps, parents are often disheartened maybe or worried that their baby won't follow that schedule. Maybe we do have to take what we can get, but I am just never shocked. I am so used to babies, at least initially, not following my plan, and that's why we always have the backup.
Oh yeah,
plan
A,
F.
plan B.
Yeah, because we can write it as you can understand it, the logic. We can have the numbers, the in-cot time, the up time, and then a baby, particularly if they've got some chronic overtiredness at play, they're just going to do whatever they're going to do whilst we just have to start. So don't be disheartened if you get started and it doesn't. You just keep turning up, keep chipping away, and it will fall into place.
Your future self will love you for it.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else before we go back?
I think that's it from me. I'm going to get stuck into some 1-hour consults later on this week, because in the lead up to Christmas, there's very little time for families to do 2-week solutions. So we're just doing a lot of troubleshooting.
Pressure, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so 1-hour consults are great because that's where I would do a lot of assessing. So families would send in their 48-hour logs. I'll assess those along with their questionnaire, create the plan, give them a really solid, confident pep talk, and give them the steps to follow through. And then they do that in their own solo way, I guess you'd sort of describe it. But yeah,
and
it's a good place to start.
Yeah, if listeners are wondering how much can actually be achieved from a 1-hour consult, let me tell you, it is a game changer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They pack a punch. Well, everyone book with Beck. I'm going on holidays. I'll be like, no, I will still be working from Queensland, but I am going on holidays.
No consults for you, but you're all in the snooze. So
I'll be in snooze. We'll pack my microphone. We'll be doing all the things. We'll be recording the pod. But no, consults are all yours this week.
Yep. Yeah. You've got cocktails and sunshine. So I'll be in the darkness of the office.
Yeah. With the blackout blinds, the white noise going.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see, you'll have to put a picture up of the airport champagne, which there's nothing better in this world than an airport
nothing better
champagne.
than I've already thought about it. No matter the time of day, 5 a.m., 5 p.m., I'll be having an airport champagne.
Oh my God, so exciting. Have a wonderful time, Sally. We will miss you.
Thank you very much.
But I'm sure we'll be updated with wonderful images of poolside regalia.
Stay tuned from where you'd rather be.
Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us, and I hope this was helpful. Bye.
See ya.
If this episode helped, there's a lot more where that came from. We've built a library of episodes covering every sleep stage and challenge, from day 1 through to the toddler years. Visit naptrappedpodcast.com to search by your baby's age or the specific issue you're tackling. Subscribe so you've got weekly support as things change. And remember, you don't need to figure this out all at once. One episode, one strategy, one night at a time.